Week 3 of the NFL is approaching as the injuries start to pile up. Hi, I'm Steven Pimpo, and this is starting off my weekly picks segment for the third week of the 2011 NFL season. We'll start to separate the contenders from the pretenders as we visit this week in the NFL. Let's start off with the marquee matchup in the AFC East. If I were to ask you, who has the number one offense in the NFL? What would you say? Whatever you said, you're wrong, because the correct answer is the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I said it. The Buffalo Bills have the number one offense in the National Football League. I mean, what is this, 1990? Jim Kelly, meet Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Amish rifle, who leads the league in touchdown passes. Andre Reed, meet Stevie Johnson, the man who tweets at God. Thurman Thomas, meet Fred Jackson, the leading rusher in the NFL? Yes, all three are correct. They head into a matchup in Foxborough with the New England Patriots, the tied for the division lead with the Bills. Tom Brady is on pace to throw for 7,600 yards. And while he probably won't, his numbers have still been ridiculous over the past 2 weeks. I mean, the Patriots offense is very much on pace to, dare I say it, duplicate their impressive performance and record-setting performance in 2007. Now, the Bills' defense has also been pretty impressive in the past 2 weeks. The outscoring that they have done against their opponents, at least in Week 1, was very good. True, they let the Raiders throw up a ton of points on them, and this is going to be one heck of a shootout come Sunday. Unfortunately, the party's going to end for Buffalo. Tom Brady is too good, and the teams that the Bills have played were mediocre at best. The Patriots end the Bills' fantasy and take control of the division by moving to 3-0. Next, let's look at the rematch of the NFC Championship game. Packers-Bears, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. The Packers' offense has been explosive as ever, while the defense has struggled mightily, especially in the secondary. After Week 1, everyone thought, oh, right, well, Drew Brees, of course, is going to put up points. Doesn't matter what defense he's playing. But then when Cam Newton put up 400 yards on the Packers' defense, people started to scratch their heads and have cause for concern. The Packers, going into the season, had one of the deepest secondaries, if not the deepest, in the NFL. And figuring out those secondary issues will be key as the Packers move forward to try and duplicate their Super Bowl run. Coming to try and take advantage of that secondary is Jay Cutler, who looked fairly good in Week 1, but suffered from the constant pressure of the Saints defense. The pass rush for the Green Bay Packers is still as lethal as any. Clay Matthews, B.J. Raji, and the rest of that defensive front should run wild over the Bears' very weak, very poor offensive line. The Bears have had a surprising start with the mauling of the Falcons in Week 1, but we got to see a glimpse of what everyone thought they would see in the 2011 Bears last week in New Orleans. We'll get another glimpse of that team this week as the Packers roll the Bears in Week 3. Finally, let's look at a matchup that's flown a little under the radar, much like one of the teams that it contains. Houston is 2-0, and everyone, of course, knows Houston for its offense. Matt Schaub, Andre Johnson, Arian Foster. But did you know that Houston has the number one defense right now in terms of yardage? Now, Houston, again, has played some very average opponents in Miami and the Manningless Colts. However, for a team that had a almost record-setting, horrible performance in the secondary last season, any improvement is a vast improvement. Houston is undefeated, going again over the Manningless Colts and okay Dolphins team that played the Patriots pretty close until the infamous 99-yard touchdown pass. They come to face the New Orleans Saints in what should be one heck of a shootout in Week 3. Drew Brees will put up points. Matt Schaub will put up points. Andre Johnson will catch touchdown passes. Jimmy Graham will catch touchdown passes. One interesting look will be what Ben Tate can do against a vulnerable Saints run defense. James Starks and Ryan Grant had fairly good outings against the Saints in Week 1, and Matt Forte was very impressive in Week 2. How they involve Ben Tate or Arian Foster will be key in looking at how the Texans move forward. The seamless transition that their offense has been able to do under the circumstances being without Foster is very, very reminiscent of the Denver offenses Mike Shanahan used to employ in the early 2000s. His pupil Gary Kubiak has learned his system well. However, New Orleans is still New Orleans. Drew Brees' offense will I predict, make the Houston secondary look like it did for much of 2010. The Saints get the win over the Texans in, again, what should be a shootout. Now, let's take a look at some of the other matchups and go down the line to see who's going to win and who is going to go home unhappy in Week 3. The Lions will continue their impressive run by beating division rival Minnesota. The Eagles, with a banged-up Michael Vick, still should take advantage from that hurting Giants secondary, who, although they did have a very good win over the Rams on Monday night, looked average at best, and will be hitting themselves on the head with a football by the time Philadelphia is done with them. Cam Newton and the Panthers will finally get their first win of the season over the Jacksonville Jaguars, while Cincinnati wins at home against the 49ers. The Dolphins will come into Cleveland and get a win for their offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, although they really shouldn't be celebrating the fact that he's on that team. Titans will get a win over the Broncos in Tennessee. Chris Johnson should finally rebound after 2 horrible outings against the Ravens and the Jaguars. The Chargers will roll the hapless Chiefs as the division champs get pummeled for the 3rd week in a row. Ravens bounce back against the St. Louis Rams. The Jets topple the Raiders. The Falcons get the win over division rival Tampa Bay. The Steelers annihilate the Colts and make them seriously consider inserting themselves very early for the Andrew Luck sweepstakes. While the Cowboys, albeit with many injuries, get the win over the hated rival Redskins on Monday Night Football. Check back next week to see if I'm any more right then. We'll see how things shake down Sunday. Thanks for watching.